respected, if you have ever felt like you're working hard but not getting the results you deserve, if you've ever wondered why some people seem to rise again and again while others stay stuck, then stay with me, because what you're about to hear can literally rewire your brain and change the direction of your life forever. Let me start by saying this gently but truthfully. Your life today is not the result of luck, destiny, or someone else holding you back. Your life today is the result of the patterns running inside your brain, the thoughts you think automatically, the emotions you rehearse daily, the habits you repeat without even realizing it. And the beautiful part, the hopeful part, is that none of this is fixed. Your brain is not a prison. It is a programmable system. And once you understand that, everything changes. Version of you already exists, not in the future, not in a fantasy, but inside the neural wiring of your brain waiting to be activated. Success is not something you chase. It's something you align with internally before it ever shows up externally. For years, science believed that the brain was static, that after a certain age you were stuck with what you had. But neuroscience shattered that myth. Your brain is constantly changing, constantly reshaping itself based on what you focus on, what you repeat, and what you emotionally experience. Every thought you think fires a network of neurons. And when those neurons fire together again and again, they wire together. That wiring becomes your habits become your behaviors, and your behaviors become your results. Most people live their entire lives on autopilot. They wake up, react to the same problems, complain about the same situations, and wonder why nothing changes. But the truth is simple and uncomfortable. If you keep thinking the same way, you'll keep living the same life. You don't get what you want in life. You get what your brain is conditioned to expect. I remember hearing John Assaraf once say that your brain's job is not to make you successful or happy. Its job is to keep you safe. And safe often means familiar, even when familiar is painful, even when familiar is limiting, even when familiar is destroying your potential. Your brain would rather keep you in a known struggle than risk you stepping into the unknown success. That's why change feels uncomfortable. That's why growth feels scary. That's why when you decide to dream bigger, a voice inside your head whispers, "Who do you think you are?" That voice is not the truth. It's conditioning. It's old wiring trying to protect an old identity that no longer serves you. Rewiring your brain for success begins with awareness. Awareness is power. The moment you notice a thought, you are no longer controlled by it. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they never question the invisible beliefs running their lives. Beliefs like, "I'm not good enough." "Success is for others, not me." "Money is hard to earn. I always mess things up." These are not facts. They are learned programs. And here's the breakthrough. If a belief was learned, it can be unlearned. If a pattern was wired, it can be rewired. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. That means the images you repeatedly hold in your mind, the emotions you attach to them, begin to shape your neural reality. This is not wishful thinking. This is neuroscience. Think about this. Every time you replay a past failure in your mind, your brain fires the same neural circuits as if it's happening again. Your body feels it again. Your emotions relive it again. And your brain strengthens that pattern. But the same mechanism works in your favor. When you intentionally visualize success, when you emotionally connect to a future goal, your brain starts building the circuitry for that future before it arrives. This is why some people seem unstoppable. They're not more talented. They're not more lucky. They've simply trained their brains to expect success, to look for opportunities, to act despite fear. Their internal world is aligned with their external goals. Let me ask you something important. Who would you be if you NG longer? But rewiring your brain for success is not about force. It's about alignment. It's about training your mind to work with you instead of against you. And this begins with understanding one powerful truth: your brain is always proving you right. If you believe life is a struggle, your brain will search for evidence to confirm it. If you believe you're unlucky, it will highlight every setback and ignore every opportunity. If you believe you can grow, learn, and succeed, your brain will start filtering reality differently. Same world, same circumstances, completely different outcomes. Your brain has something called a reticular activating system. Think of it like a search engine inside your mind. It decides what you notice and what you ignore. Right now, there are thousands of details around you that you're not aware of. But the moment you decide something matters, your brain starts noticing it everywhere. When you decide success matters, growth matters, discipline matters, Your brain begins to guide you toward people, ideas, and actions that support that decision. This is why clarity is not optional. A vague goal produces vague results. When you don't know what you want, your brain has nothing specific to wire itself toward. But when you create a clear, emotionally charged vision of your future, your brain treats it like a destination. And once the destination is set, your subconscious mind starts working behind the scenes to help you get there. Here's where most people miss it. They set goals intellectually, but they don't emotionally connect to them. And emotion is the glue of memory and learning. Your brain remembers what you feel far more than what you say. That's why painful experiences shape us so deeply. But again, the same mechanism can be used intentionally. If you want to rewire your brain for success, you must practice feeling successful before success arrives. Not pretending, not lying to yourself, but rehearsing the emotions of confidence, gratitude, and certainty. When you feel those emotions repeatedly, your brain begins to associate them with your future actions. And suddenly, behaviors that once felt uncomfortable start to feel natural. This is why identity matters more than effort. If you see yourself as someone who always quits, motivation won't save you. If you see yourself as someone who learns and persists, challenges won't stop you. Your brain is constantly asking one question: who am I? And it will shape your behavior to match the answer you keep giving it. So if you want different results, you must update your self-image, not through hype, but through small, consistent wins. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, your brain records evidence that you are capable. Every time you break a promise to yourself, your brain records the opposite. This is why discipline builds confidence, not the other way around. Let me slow this down because this part changes lives. Confidence is not something you don't rely on willpower. They build rituals that make success inevitable. And the most powerful rituals are mental before they are physical. Let's talk about your morning for a moment. When you wake up, your brain is transitioning from sleep to awareness. In that window, your subconscious mind is highly receptive. Most people immediately flood it with stress, checking their phone, replaying worries, anticipating problems. Without realizing it, they train their brain to expect struggle before the day even begins. But imagine starting your day differently. Imagine directing your focus intentionally, taking a few moments to visualize the person you're becoming, the goals you're working toward, and the feeling of progress. When you do this consistently, you condition your brain to look for alignment throughout the day. You don't force success. You prime your mind to notice and create it. This is why gratitude is not just a feel-good practice. It's a neurological reprogramming tool. When you focus on what's working, your brain releases chemicals that enhance learning, creativity, and resilience. Gratitude trains your brain to see opportunity instead of lack, and a brain that sees opportunity behaves differently than a brain that sees scarcity. Now let's talk about self-talk, because this is where many people unknowingly sabotage themselves. You are always talking to yourself. The question is whether that voice is building you or breaking you. If you wouldn't say it to someone you love, you shouldn't say it to yourself. Every word you repeat internally becomes a command to your nervous system. When you say, "I can't do this," your brain hears a stop signal. When you say, "This is hard, but I'm learning," your brain stays engaged. Small language shifts create massive neurological changes over time. You're not lying to yourself, you're guiding yourself. Another daily habit that rewires your brain for success is focused attention. Multitasking is not a badge of honor. It's a training ground for distraction. When you focus deeply on one task, even for a short period, you strengthen the neural circuits responsible for discipline, patience, and mastery. Over time, focus becomes a skill you can access on demand. And let's be honest, distraction is the enemy of greatness. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is wired to seek novelty. Every notification, every scroll, every quick hit of stimulation trains your brain to avoid depth. Success requires depth, depth of thought, depth of effort, depth of commitment. This is why environment matters more than motivation. Your surroundings shape your behavior before you even think about it. The people you listen to, the content you consume, the conversations you engage in, all feed your brain information about what's normal and possible. If you want to rewire your brain, you must be intentional about what you expose it to. But here's something even more important. Rest is part of rewiring. A burned-out brain can grow. Sleep, stillness, and reflection are not luxuries. They are biological necessities. When you rest, your brain consolidates learning and strengthens new neural pathways. Hustle without recovery wires exhaustion, not success. I want you to hear this clearly. You don't need to overhaul your entire life to change your brain. You need consistency, not perfection. One intentional thought repeated daily is more powerful than 1,000 random efforts, and there will be days when you slip back into old patterns. That doesn't mean you failed, it means you're human. The brain learns through contrast. Each time you notice an old habit and gently redirect, you reinforce the new wiring. Progress is not linear, it's cumulative. As you practice these habits, something subtle but profound begins to happen. You start trusting yourself. You start believing in your ability to adapt. You stop fearing change because you've proven to yourself that you can handle it. And that confidence changes how you walk into rooms, how you speak, how you make decisions. This is the quiet power of rewiring your brain for success. It doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself over time through calm confidence, clear thinking, and aligned action. And in the final part, we're going to bring this all together by talking about how to sustain this transformation and step fully into the future you're capable of creating. Rewiring your brain for success is not just about creating new habits, it's about creating a new relationship with yourself. A relationship built on trust, patience, and belief. Because the greatest obstacle you will ever face is not the world outside you, but the moment inside you when you feel like giving up. Every meaningful transformation reaches a point where the excitement fades and discipline takes over. This is where most people stop, not because they can't continue, but because their brain is craving the comfort of the old identity. This is the moment that defines everything. When you keep going without applause, when you stay committed without immediate results, when you choose growth over familiarity, your brain is always looking for proof that the new path is worth it. And the proof doesn't come from one big win, it comes from endurance, from showing up again, from staying aligned even when progress feels slow. That's when your brain fully accepts the new identity and says, this is who we are now. One of the most powerful things you can do at this stage is to redefine failure. Failure is not a signal to stop. It's feedback. It's data. When something doesn't work, your brain learns. When you quit, it doesn't. The most successful people in the world are not those who avoid failure, but those who fail forward without making it personal. You see, your brain takes everything personally by default. A setback feels like a threat to your identity. But when you consciously separate who you are from what happened, you regain control. You are not your Mista. Kes, you are the one learning from them. That distinction alone rewires how your brain responds to challenge. Another critical piece of long-term success is emotional regulation. When you can calm your nervous system, you can think clearly. When you can think clearly, you make better decisions. Stress narrows perception. Calm expands it. This is why simple practices like slowing your breath, pausing before reacting, or stepping back to gain perspective have such a profound impact. They signal safety to the brain, and a safe brain learns faster. About purpose for a moment. Because success without meaning feels empty, and the brain knows it. When your goals are connected to something larger than yourself, your motivation becomes sustainable. Whether it's providing for your family, serving others, or leaving a legacy, purpose activates parts of the brain associated with resilience and perseverance. This is why people who have a strong why can endure almost any how. Their brain doesn't shut down under pressure. It adapts, it looks for solutions, it stays engaged. Purpose gives struggle a direction. As you continue this process of rewiring, you'll notice something else. You'll stop needing external validation as much. You'll stop chasing approval because your confidence will no longer come from outcomes, but from alignment, from knowing you are becoming someone you respect. And that is a powerful place to live from. Decisions become clearer. Boundaries become easier. Fear loses its grip. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer controls you. I want you to understand something deeply. Rewiring your brain for success does not mean you'll never feel doubt again. It means doubt no longer has the final say. It becomes information, not a command, and that shift changes everything. The future you want is not waiting for the perfect moment. It's waiting for you to become the person who thinks, feels, and acts differently on a consistent basis. And the moment you commit to that process, your trajectory changes permanently. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. Your brain is capable of extraordinary change at any stage of life. And the fact that you're here, listening, reflects a readiness that many people never reach. You don't need permission to succeed. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing to train your mind with intention and compassion. And now, everything you need is already within you, waiting to be activated, respected. You are not here by accident. You are here because something inside you is ready to rise, ready to break old patterns, ready to stop surviving and start becoming. Rewiring your brain for success is not about changing who you are at your core. It's about removing the limits that were never yours to begin with. Every thought you choose, every emotion you practice, every action you repeat is shaping the person you are becoming. This means your future is not something you ate for. It's something you build, moment by moment, decision by decision. Even when no one is watching, even when it feels slow, even when doubt tries to convince you that nothing is changing. Change is happening, quietly, powerfully. Inside your brain, new pathways are forming. Old fears are loosening their grip. A stronger, calmer, more focused version of you is taking shape. And one day, sooner than you think, you'll look back and realize the life you once dreamed of became possible the moment you stopped underestimating yourself. Remember this: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your training. And now you are training your mind for clarity instead of chaos, for growth instead of limitation, for purpose instead of pressure. When fear shows up, don't fight it. Thank it for trying to protect you and then move forward anyway. When you stumble, don't judge yourself. Learn, adjust, and continue. This is not weakness, this is mastery. You were never meant to live a small life. You were meant to think bigger, feel deeper, and act with intention. And as you rewire your brain, your life will follow. So carry this with you. Be patient with yourself. Be disciplined with your thoughts. Be courageous with your actions. The future you are capable of creating is not far away. It's being built inside you right now. And one day, when someone asks how you changed your life, the answer will be simple. You changed your mind first.